Congratulations, legalization enthusiast. They are finally going to allow cannabis dispensaries in your state, and there is an application window coming up to get one. That's awesome. Here's everything that you need to know from someone that has won a lot of licenses and also has a license. We are a few years into the Illinois licensing process, and if you want to see how it ends, click the like and subscribe button with the bell to get noticed of our live podcast on Sunday for cannabis law, policy, and business. So let's talk about your state. We have a multi-point plan of attack on this one, so stick around until the end if you want to further your dream of owning a dispensary. It all starts with the application. It typically occurs 6 to 12 months after the state legalizes because it takes time for the regulator, very often called the Office of Cannabis Management, to promulgate the rules and procedures for licensing applicants. Often, the regulators are the boss with licensing and disciplinary issues. They are your partner in this and to be respected and complied with. You may want to open a simple dispensary, but the secret is you're actually getting into the compliance industry. You just happen to sell weed. Lotteries, the wave of the future. If the state or municipality limits the number of licenses, typically a lottery awards those licenses. These lotteries help prevent undue errors in scoring competitive applications and also lowers the risk of a program stalled out and stuck in litigation for years. Hijacking them could also be attacked as illegal gambling contracts. For more on that, check out some cases that I'm an attorney of record on in Cook County. Back to the licensed lotteries. They are very often vetted to only allow qualified applicants into it. This could be by being social equity because of your arrest, or that you have lived in a particular area for a long time, or your veteran status, and even your income levels. In the case of Illinois, you need both the arrest and the long-term residency in a disproportionately impacted area. If you think that you're qualified, reach out to our office on CannabisIndustryLawyer.com and fill out our form to see if you could be one of the applicants in these vetted lotteries. Sometimes these lotteries are very stripped-down affairs, with 99% of the work happening after you win. Your state may hire a company like Creative Services Inc., CSI, to vet the applicants by reviewing their social equity criteria to be certified and then entered into a lottery. Other states do the vetting after the selection, but basically they all double-check to be sure that they are giving the license to a qualified applicant and not a subterfuge or Trojan horse. We do not recommend that. A regulator will yank your license. Many of these vetted lotteries do not need a complete application, but not always. Let's discuss some complete applications, which may also include a lottery. Complete applications. If your state has not limited the number of licenses, then you may be in a complete application state, where if you give the regulator everything they require, then they will issue you a license. Complete applications can take years to complete because they require everything, meaning compliant real estate, which we will discuss later. Other times, the applicants require you to secure but not purchase real estate and have a complete application that complies with the requirements of the regulations and the application instructions. Kentucky is a prime example of this. So is Illinois 5 years ago, or New Jersey to this very day. You must tender everything required by the regulators for the application. If anything is missing, they will give you a notice and an opportunity to fix the problem. Typically 10-day notices is what we call them, but it changes from state to state. So let's imagine you get everything to the regulator in time and now you're entered into a lottery or scored so your license application may process. Moves us to the next phase, the certification or scoring process. After the application window closes, the state will begin scoring your application or confirming that you are eligible to win the lottery. The lotteries can take a while to hold. The scoring process in complete and competitive application states like Texas or Florida can last well over a year. Applications for those states closed back in April of 2023, and they still have not been issued. So the political administration governing the state plays a huge role on how smoothly or not an industry grows in a particular state. Now we move into a very exciting phase of your dream to become a dispensary owner, the award of the license. Interestingly enough, back in April of 2023 is also when Illinois closed with Miggy and Mai's application in their lottery. We won it in July of 2023, and then we did the prove up and waiting game. After you are selected in the lottery, there is a cross-check to ensure that you are qualified and not disqualified because some investors were actually using the social equity applicant to fish for licenses in a lottery that were prepackaged subsidiaries that spring into place upon winning a license. So if the regulator draws out that process, the real applicant has time to talk with the regulators and voice any concerns that they may have. Social equity or other scoring awards can keep winners of the licenses in a state of limbo for months. We did not get our conditional license awarded until May of 2024. Some winners in Missouri had no idea that they were entered into a lottery and agreed to sell their licenses for $1, and so the state revoked their licenses and put them back into the 2024 lottery held in June of this year. The holding period is really only for the lucky few who win in limited market states. A dispensary application in a lottery typically has a 1 or 2% chance of winning, which means you have a 99 or 98% chance of not winning. If you had a merit-based application, you may have been one of the few awarded a license, or not, and a big lawsuit breaks out and stalls everything for at least 2 years. And that can be very problematic with the next step, which is really a big and costly step depending on the rules of the state. Before turning to real estate, the award of the license by the state often confers property rights in the license. But most states consider the cannabis business a privilege, so it can be more easily revoked, and those rights do not attach until the state actually awards the license. Finding the right real estate. We did not move forward with locking up our real estate until a license was actually issued, because we had no rights in the privilege as it was not yet conferred. But Peoria real estate does not move super fast. Still, you are trying to find the right location based on traffic patterns which are often kept by your state. So look for an interactive traffic map to see where the people are going in your city. Then you also want the right cannabis demographics. The buyers of cannabis tend to be younger. So where do millennials and younger live? Well, hopefully not with their parents. Data providers like New Frontier Data may help you figure out where in your neck of the woods has the people who like to buy cannabis. In my state, you don't need to find real estate until after you have a conditional license. This lowers the cost of the social equity applicants that have been awarded this license. This is not so in Florida, Ohio, Texas, even Kentucky. These states require you to lock up real estate, then you could be waiting for over a year. That monthly carrying cost to stay compliant with your application can run over $100,000. Prime dispensary real estate is prime retail real estate, and that is not cheap to lock up and keep off the market for a year while your application is pending. That's not the same for open market states. Some people believe that open market cannabis is a thing, but it's not. The city becomes a limiting factor. What does that mean? Let's move on to our next point, getting the zoning. Some people argue that cannabis needs open markets. Well, that just won't fly when it comes to zoning. To get a special use permit from the city, you must comply with local rules. For example, my city only allows 6 dispensaries in it. That's not all. You cannot be 500 feet from a sensitive location like a church or school, or this catch-all that is a building or location used for the education of or recreation of minors or young adults under the age of 21, because they are all defined as schools. For example, in Peoria, a Chuck E. Cheese is a school, and you must be 500 feet from the property line. Good luck with that, everybody. Maybe I can't find a compliant location in my hometown that is any good. And so it goes. The race in open market states gives the best locations to those that were there first, and boom, you're zoned out of existence. Or the prices of that compliant real estate skyrocket. Check out New Jersey's cannabis land grab of the last few years for just how limited an open market state can be. But when you sell weed and just call it hemp, you avoid lots of the real land use issues that actual cannabis license holders have to deal with. Moving on to the next element, finding the investors or self-funding. Once you have actually threaded the needle and obtained a compliantly zoned location for your dispensary, then you're going to need to become operational. Maybe your purchase contract for the real estate was contingent on you getting a special use permit on the location. But now you have to get the cash and get open and do all the repairs and the new build-outs for a highly regulated dispensary. It can run over $1 million. Our security system alone is probably going to be over $100,000. And about that for the wire mesh vault room or more. Maybe you tried to get a tenant improvement allowance and rent at the choicest retail location in your city. Well, that may be a default on their mortgage of the property. So be careful, and now you understand why you do not see a lot of dispensaries in strip malls, unless that mall is privately owned and not mortgaged, or found in one of the few hundred financial institutions willing to work with cannabis real estate. Investors often are the real estate because we cannot make a realistic financial model without the real estate and other variables we use to craft our models. And isn't that how it is? You need data to have a model, and if you have a highly regulated state in a limited license and want to work with us, you can reach out over at cannabisindustrylawyer.com and fill out our form